The president's administration is now going to require nursing home staff to get vaccinated against COVID-19. They're going to have to meet that requirement in order to continue receiving federal Medicare and Medicaid funding. Now, that mandate could come as soon as next month.
The president just spoke to the country about the state of the pandemic. Let's listen in.
Even in states where the vaccination rate is high, the unvaccinated in those states are also at risk. And we're seeing cases rise as a result. Quite frankly, it's a tragedy. There are people who are dying and who will die who didn't have to. So please, if you haven't gotten vaccinated, do it now. Do it now. It could save your life, and it could save the lives of those you love.
In addition to vaccination, the president also talked about the need for booster shots.
Yeah, they're preparing to offer them to people 18 and older and fully vaccinated beginning the week of September 20th. This booster is just for people who got the Pfizer or the Moderna vaccines.
You need to get that booster 8 months after your second dose, and this allows for those who got the first shots to be among the very first to get the booster shot. Now, so far there's no plan for the people who got that single dose of the vaccine that was made by the company Johnson & Johnson. Those are the people that are not right now recommended to get a booster, but that potentially could change in the days and weeks to come. As they look at more data, we'll keep an eye on it.
Well, earlier this week, the FDA and CDC authorized a third shot for people with compromised immune systems.
And those aren't the same as booster shots. Now, if you meet the requirement and you're in the approved age group, you can head to places like Kroger to get your additional dose.
Right now, it's only for people who have received either the Moderna or Pfizer vaccine, not the J&J shot. They've been getting lots of questions, though, from people about these vaccines.
If anybody has a question about whether they qualify, what is immunocompromised, the pharmacist can help you with that, or we would suggest they check with their physician.
Now, if you plan to get that extra shot, keep in mind you will need to make an appointment.
In the last 2 weeks, nearly 7 million Americans have gotten vaccinated, and this is the highest 2-week total since the beginning of June.
And there's also been a 75% increase in the average daily number of kids between the age of 12 and 15 getting vaccinated. Now, despite those numbers, Indiana still is seeing this big increase in COVID cases. In fact, these are the highest numbers we've seen in months.
So let's take a look at this chart here, and what we're looking at here, the newest data to the right side of your screen. You can see just today, the state reported a little more than 3,500 new cases. The numbers are also driving a spike in the demand for testing for COVID-19.
And tonight at 5, our Rich Nye shows us how health departments are trying to respond.
Jessica Snellbaker brought an SUV full of kids to get tested for COVID-19 Wednesday afternoon.
They went to school this morning, and then my niece started having symptoms, but there was 8 kids total come out of school when we were leaving.
This mom is also waiting on test results for an older daughter who came home sick from school Monday.
It's like a domino effect, and so it was like, okay, we're done for 14 days at least.
The Marion County Public Health Department is operating one COVID testing site here in the parking lot of its headquarters. In the last 2 weeks, the number of tests have doubled, right along with back to school. About 85 daily COVID tests at this location, part of an average of over 27,000 across the state.
The demand for testing skyrocketed right about the same time. Many of our testing sites across the state were kind of decreasing the amount and hours that they were available to do testing, which we know has resulted in some prolonged waits and frustrations.
Many of the vehicles waiting in line for COVID tests are filled with school children.
Kids that are symptomatic, whose parents are concerned and want them tested. Kids who have been sent home because they had a headache or a stomach ache, and in order to get back into school, they need to be able to have a negative test. Kids that have been quarantined because of a close contact and they weren't masked, and so they've been sent home, and now they want to get tested to get back into school.
The state health department is calling back the National Guard for help and asking all vaccine sites to also offer testing.
We need you to do the right thing, and that's get vaccinated, and that will keep our kids in school. That will keep our businesses open.
The daily average of COVID tests in Indiana right now runs almost 3 times more than the daily vaccinations.
Thank you, Rich. The state health department plans to announce a partnership next month with an agency that can provide COVID testing in our schools, but that could not be up and running until potentially October. In the meantime, more school districts now are considering making masks mandatory once again. For example, on the west side, the Avon Community School Board meeting tonight to consider it for the intermediate and elementary school students. The meeting is at 7 o'clock tonight. If you'd like to go, it's at the Avon Middle School South. Now, if you go, you can watch the proceedings, but public input will not be allowed.